With National Native News, I'm Art Hughes in for Antonio Gonzalez. The U.S. Senate passed the law known as Savannah's Act, aimed at improving law enforcement's response to missing and murdered Native women and girls. The law, introduced by North Dakota Senator Heidi Heitkamp, passed on a voice vote. New Mexico Senator Tom Udall, the vice chair of the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, praised the action and urges his colleagues in the House to approve the bill as well. He says it will improve the number of cases that are solved. The law is named after Savannah LaFontaine Graywind, who was murdered last year in Fargo. Family and friends complained police did not follow up on obvious leads in a timely way, which could have led to the apprehension of suspects sooner. Advisors to Elizabeth Warren worry the Massachusetts senator has damaged her relationships to tribes with her announcement that a DNA test shows she has a Native American ancestor. That's according to a report in the New York Times this week that says Warren may be considering issuing an apology. Tribes and Native groups criticized Warren's actions, reiterating that genetic tests do not determine tribal citizenship. Meanwhile, Deb Haaland, a member of Laguna Pueblo and the newly elected congresswoman from New Mexico, defended Warren in the article, saying Warren was merely seeking a connection to her past, not prove tribal membership. Collectors and buyers of Native art should abandon investments in cultural and sacred tribal patrimony. That's the message delivered from almost a dozen and a half organizations and tribes in a joint statement issued this week. They urge collectors to focus on contemporary Native art instead of what is commonly called antiquities and artifacts. Association on American Indian Affairs Executive Director Shannon Keller O'Loughlin says auction houses and dealers are not yet getting the message that they are perpetuating unethical, if not illegal, practices.
What we were finding as an organization is that we really needed to educate the public as well as collectors and auction houses that it was not just one lone organization. Of course, we've been around for almost 100 years as the Association on American Indian Affairs, but that this is a united front and that there were many organizations, many academics, many experts in the field, even non-Indian experts in the field, that believe the sale of our cultural and sacred patrimony is wrong, that it violates tribal laws, and that there are other state and federal laws outside of the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act that could apply when people are trying to sell our items of sacred and cultural patrimony.
At the very least, O'Loughlin says, dealers should be required to notify affected tribes when items are going up for sale. Last month, the AAIA shut down a planned sale of items in Boston. The organization contends the sellers failed to properly consult with tribes, and the sale of many of the items violates NAGPRA. The trial continues in Omaha for a police officer in the death of a Rosebud Sioux man who died after the officer pulled the trigger of a taser stun gun 12 times. Meanwhile, the Nebraska Attorney General is arguing to reverse the decision to release the grand jury transcript that led to the prosecution of officers Scotty Payne and Ryan McClarty. The Lincoln Journal-Star reports the state argues releasing the report jeopardizes participation of witnesses in future grand jury inquiries. But lawyers for the Omaha World Herald newspaper and TV station KETV say the state's public records law clearly favors release of the documents. The arguments are based on the death of Zachary Bareheels, who suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. He died shortly after the officers punched and stunned him in a confrontation last year. With National Native News, I'm Art Hughes.
National Native News is produced at the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation. Funding is by Odawi Law Group, provider of Indian law solutions, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, with support from the Public Radio Satellite System.
Support by AARP. AARP creates and connects people to unique tools and programs, helps conserve personal resources, and tackles issues that matter most to individuals, families, and communities. More at aarp.org. Support provided by BNSF Railway. BNSF is proud to be a gold-level memorial donor for the creation of the National Native American Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. More at americanindian.si.edu.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.